This is Making It. Stories of success and achievement, inspiration and survival. Hosted by Mark and Paul Kinney and sponsored by More Financial Strategies, helping you make it through life. On today's show, Making It Through the Fire, surviving the Northern California wildfires. And now, here's Mark and Paul.
Welcome to Making It, and today's show entitled Making It Through the Fire, literally surviving the Northern California wildfires with Mark and Alan Robbins. We're going to be speaking with them later in the show. And the reason this particular show is important to us is we grew up in Santa Rosa.
We did, delivering the Press Democrat.
That's right, which just won a Pulitzer for
did.
their
coverage of the fire.
Coverage of the fire. So back in October of 2017, there were a number of wildfires in Northern California, Sonoma County, Napa County, and devastated the area. And so we went back to Santa Rosa to see what it was like. We met Alan at the property that burned down that night, and I happened to be there that day celebrating his mom's 91st birthday, Helen Robbins. We'll hear from her a little bit later on. And it was that night, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd already left, but the firestorm just raged through Sonoma County, and they lost their home, burned to the ground. And if you go back there today, as we did, because we went back to Santa Rosa, we met with Alan there on the property.
Wow, we're dedicated.
Oh, we are dedicated. And it was eerie. The Coffee Park area, it looked like a war zone.
The entire subdivisions, hundreds of homes. The only way you would know that there was a fire was the entryway. A lot of the signage is made out of wood.
Or you might see some concrete slabs, but there wasn't anything else left.
Well, many landmarks that we grew up with, knowing you drive by and you see them, and now they're gone.
Fountain Grove, the red barn, the big round red barn, gone.
Multi-million-dollar Hilton Resort,
gone.
Less than a year old.
Gone. Yeah. So we met first with Alan Robbins. You'll hear his voice first, and we met with him on the property in Santa Rosa, the site of the home that had burned down on October 8th of 2017. So that's our story today on Making It. Today, Making It Through the Fire, surviving the Northern California wildfires.
Hi, Michael Dispatch.
Sonoma County caller with a...
You were watching television, right?
Watching TV for 2 hours. Mark was visiting, and I remember watching the news. I never watch local news. I don't really like local news, but I'm not sure why we were watching.
It was serendipitous that you were watching. Providential in a lot of ways.
Let's put it this way. It didn't help much. We could see some activity, right? We could see the glow. Just wondering, well, no one's alerting us to this. There's nothing unusual in a sense. We've seen glows on the hill in the past. You got to realize we've lived here 40 years, and nothing's ever happened. We've seen some glows on the hill and talk of fire miles away.
UFOs, something like that. Okay, no big deal.
And here, in my own thinking, I was thinking if a fire's coming, I'll see it coming anyway. We've got this hill back here. I'll be able to see it and go, yeah, there's the fire. Let's get out of here.
And you didn't get any phone call?
No phone calls, no nothing. I think some neighbors were on some alert system, or they may have got a call. We never got a call.
Just let's give people a little bit of a perspective. Would you call this rural? This is not really rural. You're about a mile from the freeway, and there's
a quarter
plenty.
mile from a school.
Yeah.
There's a Starbucks right down the road. You can't be that far from civilization.
There's a daycare operation literally 200 yards away. But I kept thinking I'd see something coming, right? I wake my son up, who's in the back sleeping. I said, Thomas, you got to get up and at least come look at this, man. It looks like there's a fire on the hill coming our way. So I at least got him up so he could come out on the back deck. So me and Mark and Thomas are sitting on the back deck. Never thought to alert a neighbor. Never thought to go pound door to door. I literally thought it wasn't going to happen.
Because certainly this is not going to happen to you guys.
No.
This is just stuff you read about, you hear about, you see on TV. It's a made-for-TV movie. No.
Yeah.
But
to other people. Yeah.
To other people.
Yeah, exactly right. The thing that alerted me that something may be going wrong, I started hearing what sounded like cannon fire.
Yeah, that'll get my attention.
I mean, like a big fireworks starburst going off.
Civil War reenactment
It was.
taking place at midnight. Okay, yeah.
A boom, right? And then 10 seconds later, boom. I go, oh my gosh, this is something blowing up over there. And you can tell it's coming from that direction. Literally 50 explosions.
Really? That many?
In the course of a few minutes, boom.
What were they in retrospect? What were those?
I haven't heard it definitive. It's either
Transformers?
propane tanks blowing up. But bizarre, and I go, oh, this is serious. Stuff's blowing up. This is not good. And then I saw a flash of light, like sheet lightning, incredibly bright for a 2-second flash on the hill. Still have never figured out what that was. Maybe that was a transformer blowing. I don't know. Huge flash of white. And I go, something's going on now. So I noticed the neighbor. This neighbor right here is coming down. They're leaving. They're in their car. They're leaving. And they're yelling
Without you.
They're leaving out the window. Evacuate, you know. But they're hauling out of here. And I'm going, well, they're getting out, you know, but I'm not sure if we called them or how they knew, but they're taking off.
So you're second guessing even them, going, come on, it can't be that serious.
Can't be. But anyway, at this point, wind's starting to blow. It's starting to get crazy. The explosions
Things are
going
escalating.
off. It's escalating. And Ken doesn't have a lot of time to talk with me. He's got
Let's go in and grab a cup of coffee and think about this.
I saw some of the footage from one of the security cameras from some of the hospitals. It's amazing how fast it was moving and how strong the wind was.
Yeah.
The embers just blurring.
embers. You got to remember, this fire jumped a 4-lane freeway and kept going. And that's wind. That's the power of this cyclonic wind that was kicking up that night. It was crazy.
So at what point did you say, this is real, we got a boogie?
Well, Ken was racing around. I went back up
And
the
what's
hill.
Mark doing?
Mark is on the deck, you know. I go, Mark, we got to get some stuff out. You need to start packing up. But at that point, I was still kind of casual. We have time. Mark gets some stuff. And Mark was smart. He went in and got a file cabinet out of my mom's dresser that had all of her stuff in it. He actually took it off the hinge, and he was hauling that out, right, to his van that he had. And I'm going, well, I better grab some stuff too, you know. And I picked up my passport and my computer. But I'm casually opening up the back of the car, and I threw in like those 3 things. I just threw it in there. Walking past, you know, the $4,000 worth of silver in my bottom drawer I had, right? Walking past other things that I could have easily thrown in. The other key to my BMW, which is worth $350 because it's one of these electronic keys.
Oh, you got to have the fob,
I got
yeah.
the fob. Just walked right past that. Actually thought about putting it in my pocket, and I went, nah. It's not going to happen. It's really not going to happen.
We're going to come back, and it was like, wow, that was a close call.
Really?
But so what point did reality strike you? Like, we have got to get, this is coming.
I think it's coming.
It's coming. So at that point, I walk out. Mark's grabbing this thing. Thomas is up. I said, Thomas, you better get the dog ready. And stuff's starting to go on. And I go, and I'm not kidding you. It hit in a matter of seconds. We knew we went from, it's not going to happen to, oh my God, let's get out of here. And a saving grace is the electricity did not go out. We didn't lose a transformer and blow up, so we still had light. But I'll never forget, I yelled I said, Mark, we got to go now, right? And Thomas goes, Dad, we got to go now. I said, so we hopped into the car and backed out. And at this point, this is where it gets really hairy. I mean,
Was it surreal? Was it like in slow motion?
I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Because I never saw any fire. I never saw flames on the hill approaching. All she saw.
So one minute you didn't, and the next you did.
The next minute, I never saw a fire. I never saw a fire coming toward us. Dark, deep, billowing smoke with flying embers in it. Big chunks of flying, lit on fire stuff.
Oh, so you never saw flames?
Never saw flames. Never saw flames. All suddenly the garage is full of smoke, and you can still see, and there's embers flying around.
Did you feel any heat?
Not really. No, I couldn't really feel the heat coming, but at that point, I said, Thomas, grab the dog. He jumped in the car. I'm backing out.
He's smart.
And, you know, we got the circular drive, and I'm backing out, and I'm going, we got to get out of here. At this point, I can barely see. That was my overriding thought. I can barely see right now. I had the lights on.
Can't see the road.
Can't see the road.
Like heavy
I can't
fog.
see the driveways. Our little circular drive. My thought is, if I run off the road, we're going to die. I actually thought that if I run off this road into one of these ditches or something, we're not going to get out of here. So I'm kind of creeping along around the drive here, and Thomas.
So for our listeners, there are car carcasses still here. Just you burned. Just that could have been you guys inside that vehicle over there.
Well, the neighbors, unfortunately, the Halbers, she did die in the car. She was burned alive in the car as they tried to get out, and he was standing outside the garage. So yeah, maybe the garage door didn't open. They could have had some other issues, but these weren't on fire at that point. The cars, I've got to realize, things are catching on fire. And as we're pulling around, this is how I knew the fence here that's now gone was on fire. As I pulled down around this way, I could see their fence was on fire. I looked up back our driveway and could see our house was on fire.
Oh, you did see the house on fire.
The fences and the edges of the house were catching fire. And, but I mean, that was the ability. I could see that a little bit, but my main focus was staying on the road. And I noticed ahead of me there was one car, and I still don't know who it was. It was either Ken driving out or the neighbors here with the horse driving out. I could barely see their taillights, and I'm sort of following them, and Mark's following my taillights.
Oh, he's in another car.
He's behind me in the van. So he's following me in his car, and that's his guidance, right? So I mean, we needed some point of reference. I mean, the most pressing thing I can say is we never saw a wall of flame coming. It was dense smoke and flying embers and swirling wind, and almost blinded by it. So we got to the end of the drive here.
Could you breathe?
I don't remember having any trouble breathing. We had the windows up, or I don't remember breathing being an issue, because we got out of here pretty quick. I mean, we weren't gagging on smoke for a half hour trying to get out of here. We knew, my sense was, if we're not out of here in a couple minutes, we're dead. And it's just swooping in. It was raging, you know. And as we're driving down Angela Drive there, you could see the grass of the yards next to us. They were all aflame, and flames were sweeping across Angela Drive.
This was probably about the time that it pretty much crossed the freeway and went into Coffey Park.
Just about, because we actually drove out of here, crossed the freeway, and got to Starbucks right on the other side of the freeway. But nothing was on fire there yet. But you know, the McDonald's and the gas station and Kmart burned right next to it. But at that point, you know, it's 1:40 now, and the fire hadn't jumped over to that point yet. But we parked thinking we were safe now. Oh, we're okay, you know. We're out of the area. Normally a house catches in fire and the fire department comes and puts out the house. You know, if you get a block away, you're safe. We're a mile away now, and we're sitting in the car, and Thomas goes, "We got to get out of here."
Again.
It's still coming. It's still coming. I mean,
It was relentless.
It was.
What?
Thomas was insistent. Let's get out of here because the smoke, the embers, they're starting to show up again. And so we drove down to Cottingtown as the next point of reference where we thought maybe we're away from this thing.
The big shopping center that's been around forever. Did you see any fire trucks?
No. In fact, there was no activity. I mean, this is after the fact, that I saw at all, or even could even heard of. And most of the neighbors I've talked to, there was really no
sirens,
no sirens,
no sheriff's officers with bullhorns saying evacuate, evacuate.
It's not like a hurricane where you have the news coverage for 4 days before it hits, and every reporter on earth is covering it. This was nobody knew, and there was no alerts, no knowledge of it at all. So felt like the Wild West a little bit. I can tell you, even the next day driving back through the mess, it felt Wild Westish. I mean, there was no traffic laws, and once you're driving around, you can do anything you want. And felt a little surprised how little activity. I don't want to badmouth first responders or anything, but for days we didn't see and the fire went on for a week. We didn't see a tanker fly over for 4 or 5 days. I go, wait a minute, they're at Sonoma County Airport. We have tankers out there that should be putting this stuff out, and there was no air activity for days and days, maybe 4 or 5 days that I saw. I don't know, I think everybody's caught by surprise.
Caught by surprise. In your practice, a financial practice, how often do you hear that?
We see it a lot.
I mean, that's why we do this show, Making It. We want to help people make it through life. In fact, we'll have a segment later on, Making It Through Life. But you see that all the time in your practice, don't you?
Well, we do, and we promote making sure you have a plan in place. So when something happens, not if it's going to happen, but we all know at some point we're going to pass away. We're going to die. What is your plan? Either with leaving a legacy or making sure your family is taken care of. And as Paul and we were interviewing Alan and Mark, there was no plan in place in case a fire hits. In Because
Well, they had insurance.
well, they did.
Yeah.
But
But escaping the fire, there wasn't a plan necessarily.
no, there wasn't. Because
I don't think how many people have a plan to escape a fire.
well, they don't. But many people don't have a plan when it comes to retirement, or when it comes to should they pass away too soon, or perhaps if they live too long. What is their plan? And so part of doing this show is the reality. This kind of hits you. It's like boom, right in the face. What are you going to do about this? And we're procrastinators by nature. We procrastinate.
Well, we're going to talk to Mark next. Mark Robbins there that night as well. He's the oldest Robbins boy, and we'll hear his recollections of making it through the fire.
We'll be back with more Making It Through the Fire right after this from More Financial Strategies.
At More Financial Strategies, having a vision for your life is just as important as having a vision for your money. In our opinion, without a clear-cut vision, in fact, the Bible talks about it, without a vision, the people will perish. So when it comes to your retirement, if you don't have a clear-cut vision, not just for your money, but for your life, that retirement is going to be filled with worry, with anxiety, with fear, and with great hesitation. Not knowing where you're headed, I love this, is like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. Can you imagine the drudgery each and every day? Nothing changes. And one day is not going to be any different than the day before. It's like a never-ending story. So our hope, our goal is to craft a vision for your retirement that goes beyond just your money. What is your life going to look like when you wake up on the first day of retirement? Let us help you craft that. Call us today at 296-4464. 296-4464. Make an appointment, and we will help you get the process started.
Welcome back to Making It and Making It Through the Fire. It's hard, Mark, to fathom. In Northern California, over 8,000 homes lost. 8,000 structures lost. Over 5,000 just in Sonoma County. 24 lives.
Yeah. I think there were at least a couple Starbucks as well. And that's very, it's like, how do we go on? How do we go on? How do we go on?
That's hard for you.
It is. And the number of families that are touched by all of this. Think about relocation. And now you're having to get people employed to go back and start clearing the land. And just the emotional side of this is
how do you rebuild that many homes?
How do you process this emotionally?
Yeah. Next, we speak with Mark Robbins, who was there that night as well, and his recollections of making it through the fire. So the glow is over the hill?
Yes.
Look, if you go out your backyard, there's a hillside. Yes. So the glow is on the other side of the hillside.
Right. Yeah, we're in the foothills, right off of 101 in northern part of Santa Rosa. The comment I remember making to my brother is, man, the way this thing's moving, if we ever see any fire crest this hill, we're going to have to get out of here.
Time to run.
And there's no fire engines. I heard one fire engine faintly, probably around midnight, going up Mark West Springs Road toward Calistoga. That was the only fire indication I heard.
I read that it traveled 12 miles in 4 hours. So that's like as fast as you can walk, and certainly areas that it's going to be leaping and going a lot faster than that.
Yes. And I think that's, looking back, that's the surprise about all this. But looking back, they didn't have the canyon effect. As this fire moving down a canyon, it's going to be concentrating. But there is a denial. I'm saying, boy, those people over there, man, I bet it's bad.
They're worried, I'm sure.
I said, those people, man, it must be terrible over there.
Not here.
Yeah.
But Mark, you mentioned that word, and I think that's respective, not just in this situation, but in life. The denial.
Oh, huge.
This certainly isn't. It's like the people, I'm going to guess, if you were able to ask people on the Titanic, or pick any disaster.
Is this going to sink?
There's absolutely no way this is going to happen.
This is unsinkable. That's right.
They're in denial.
Yes, it's denial, but there is something is happening. What should we be doing? And you think of, there are certain safety mechanisms already in place. Look, we don't live in the forest. For heaven's sakes, if I'd say we lived in, again, the foothills, suburban wine country, there's a lot of wine vineyards around here, and there's a couple of the old oak trees there around, but this isn't a forest. There's gaps, and fire that we see on TV. You know, it's the trucks are there, the cameras are there, and one building's burning, and the other buildings around it are just not being threatened. The wind, looking back, was the kicker in this. And as I'm watching the fire spread, get brighter, you do pick up some sounds. And I go, okay, well, isn't that interesting? Boy, I bet those people over there have their hands full. But it was, again...
Little did you know.
Oh, yeah, little did we know. As we're watching this, the next phase, and this is the one if I have anything to pass on, they talk about a fire roaring, a roaring fire. I know what a roaring fire is now. It's that dull... Ooh.
It's like a hum?
It's a hum. Faint. You know, I've heard the popping sounds, and now I'm starting to hear this. What the heck is that? And
because you're not seeing any flames.
Oh, heavens no! The profile of the fire hadn't changed anything. Maybe a little bit brighter. It's obviously, I guess it's coming closer. It's coming down from Calistoga, following the wind. Ooh. You hear that? It sounds like a low jet engine hum. And the humming gets louder.
How loud does it get?
It gets loud to the point where do you hear that? I mean, you can hear that. And is it my imagination? Am I hearing something? No, this is really happening. And my advice, if you ever hear the roar of a fire,
run.
And it sounds like a jet engine, you've got about 15 minutes if the wind's blowing in your direction before it's going to be on top of you. And, you know, it's 15 minutes. I still had a mountain between us. I'm still thinking if we see the flames, it's time to go. But looking back, the other way I describe it is if you've ever seen a crematorium fire, that intense oxygen-boosted whoo of a crematorium when they fire it on. That's the sound.
Huh.
The fire is so intense, and there's so much oxygen feeding this thing, it creates a dull roar. It's the roar of the fire that I look back and say, wow. And as the roar, I'm starting to pick up the roar, we're seeing the fire move. It's moving from the northeast. It's now moving more northerly as it's getting toward the end of Mark West Springs Canyon. It's moving to the north. And I think I saw lightning. My memory is I saw some lightning come out of that red glow as the intensity of this tornado, this fire tornado, this roaring fire tornado. I think I saw some lightning flash out of this. The intensity of the fire was so great, and the wind is so great, and it's swirling so much, it's creating its own firestorm.
So when'd you decide, let's go?
Well, you know, early on, looking back, this fire could really get out of hand. And if it gets real out of hand, should we make some preparation? Well, you know, should we make some preparation? Now, I was visiting my mother I live in Mesa, and I had my van there, and I had some suitcases that I had in the house where I was, in the bedroom where I was staying. So I gathered them up, threw them in the van, and, probably about 10 minutes to go, I'm still thinking, this is really affecting some people over there. Maybe we ought to throw a few more things in there. So I picked up a few things, but not the classic. The ones that you hear about is, gee, if looking back, would you have taken some pictures? Yes,
albums.
I would have taken the photo albums. I would have taken the pictures. But so I was taking my socks and my toothbrush. That's what I was taking.
Well, because you can't get those anywhere else.
Who's opening at 1 a.m. to pick up a toothbrush?
Who's picking that stuff up? So it was, I just might have to move and something. And even then I said, if the fire actually hits the house, it would be the typical, the garage burns down or something like that.
And then the fire truck shows up and puts it out.
Or the fire truck will show up. But the devastation, that's the other thing. This is that crematorium fire. Our 12, 13-foot structure house is reduced to an 8-inch pile of ash.
8 inches?
8-inch pile of ash. That was it. There was nothing there. Metal survives. but all glass melts. Plastic is mirrors are just lumps of glass, Metal survives. And if anybody has got one of those fireproof boxes that they put their life insurance policy in there, not enough fire like this.
It's too hot.
The intensity is so. We open up all of our fireproof boxes. My father had I guess the deed to the house,
ashes inside.
Just ashes inside.
Really?
Nothing left. Just amazing how hot and intense fire gets.
So with technology today, people who have the pictures on the wall, the albums, they should be taking videos of these, storing them in the cloud.
Two things. One, you hadn't taken any insurance photos, gone around the house and taken pictures so that when you go to the insurance company, you can say, hey, here's proof, here's what I had. You didn't have any of that.
No, we didn't have any of that. That was my mother's house. And let me sing the praise of the insurance company. We had a great insurance company. And as the fire's devastation is manifest itself, the guy comes out and says, this is a total loss. And we maxed out on all of our categories.
The policies. So one thing that your dad did do, and which, Helen, is he got a good policy, right?
Very.
He had a good policy that covered it. And because so many people, they don't have, the limits are too low, right?
That's
they
right.
don't really realize how much the value of the house is, especially in Santa Rosa. Those homes are expensive. And to rebuild them?
We were really, I don't know what my father was thinking, but he did max out in a lot of these categories. And my mother was very well taken care of. So sing the praises of the insurance companies. Get some insurance, because the fire won't just burn your garage. The one that is going to come and get you is going to burn everything. Nothing left.
And nothing was left. It's hard to imagine a house reduced to 8 inches of ash. The aerial views that you saw, amazing. Just these little gray outlines of ash, where the foundations were and stuff, and the walls used to be. Anyway.
And USAA did a great job for them.
They did. They came through. They had insurance, and they came through. We're going to continue our conversation with Mark and Alan as well when we come back with more Making It Through the Fire.
You're listening to Making It with Mark and Paul Kinney, sponsored by More Financial Strategies.
And we've been speaking with Mark and Alan Robbins, and you heard their mom just a few minutes ago. You'll hear more of Helen in just a few minutes. They were there back in October of 2017 when the Northern California wildfires raged through the area. I happened to be there to celebrate Helen's birthday, and it was later that night, 2 o'clock in the morning, a little bit earlier, that the fire started. It was a really windy day, as I recall, and that had a profound effect on the fires. Okay, we're going to take a time out now from the show and turn our attention to a regular feature that we're going to have every week called Making It Through Life. An opportunity, quite honestly, it's just an opportunity for me to grill my brother, right?
Oh my goodness, I'm ready.
And I want to talk about more financial strategies. As you know, Mark, there are lots of financial guys out there, especially on the radio. What sets more financial strategies apart from everybody else?
I think if you experience what we call the More difference, Moore, where we believe we provide more clarity,
I see. There's a play on words.
There's a play on words.
Yeah.
More clarity, more inspiration, a more dedicated staff when it comes to experiencing what we have to offer. Look, you can go online and do this stuff. The whole do-it-yourselfer industry, you could. But we really feel that the advantage of having professionals sitting across the table from you, looking eyeball to eyeball, understanding your situation. I'll tell you, Paul, it is very liberating for people once they come in and they understand that they are able to, at this stage in their life, go and do the things that they want to do. Take the trips, go on the cruises, visit the grandkids.
What time do you want people what age do you want people coming in and talking to you?
The ideal, if you're looking at retirement, most people are 55 and up, but we would very much like to get to the young individual, the young person. Why? Is because we see the problems that the financial services industry has created, And there's a way to get around those if you're young. Let me give you a quick example. Qualified,
Please.
Yes, qualified plans, 401k plans, IRAs. Everybody thinks they are the soup du jour. They're the greatest thing. The problem with those plans is what's called required minimum distributions. What if you did
a certain age? You gotta
at 70 and a half? Our wonderful IRS or government has come up with the 70 and a half age bracket. What if there was a way not to have to pay RMDs? Well, if you get started young, guess what? RMDs, yes. There's a way not to have to pay those when you get out to 70 and a half. How about if we try and keep, which we can, money off the IRS's radar forever? Is there a way to do that? There is. And so part of our job is to look into those things, explore them, educate our clients so they can make really good decisions based upon great information. And it's a lot of fun. It's very liberating for people when they come in and they understand that they don't have to fall for what Wall Street and the marketing gurus are telling them to do. So
if they want to get a hold of you, what do they do? Call you?
296-4464, 296-4464. We give away books. We have cookies. We have Cleo, the financial therapy dog. That's the part of the More difference.
And your website is More and
then FS for financialstrategies.com.
And it's MOORE.
That is correct.
All right. More Financial Strategies. Thank you. Back to now, making it through the fire. We're going to resume our conversation with Mark Robbins. We met with him and his mom, Helen Robbins, who has a funny nickname, Cheer. Don't ask me how she got it. I don't know. But she does. And we're going to continue our conversation about the wildfire that destroyed their home back in October of 2017. I know you showed me some quarters, and they were just...
Oh, yeah. I've got a couple of them.
Still in your pocket?
I still carry a couple of my burned out quarters.
Because I didn't realize this, a quarter is a composite.
Yes.
So it kind of buckled or comes apart?
Yes. Laminate. Quarters are a laminate, and they split. The lamination splits. The other thing is...
Everybody knows that, by the way.
Well,
I knew that.
Did they?
Yeah,
Well, the one that you're going to be surprised is if you have a handful of coins, pennies. In 1982, our government took the copper out of pennies and made them zinc. And in the fire, the zinc just disappears. It burned every penny.
Interesting.
There's nothing left of a penny. The nickel is still solid. So the nickels did okay in the fire.
So we know physically everything was lost, but emotionally, how are you? That's where you grew up,
right? Yeah,
that's where memories are.
When did you move into the house?
1970.
1970. When was the house built?
56.
56.
Yeah.
Well, looking back on it, a couple of questions. What do you wish you had done differently, from a preparation standpoint? Is there a message for people out there who
have the attitude this only happens to people we see on TV?
You had the whole denial thing.
It's not like what you see on fires are not like what you see on TV.
So many times on television, they'll portray a fire as there's the flames, but you don't see much smoke because you got to be able to see the characters.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
There's a lot more smoke than you see on TV.
And not everybody got out.
Well, that's he's saying, what wish you could done things differently where was the situational awareness to realize I got some elderly neighbors who did not survive the fire. Our next door neighbors did not survive the fire. Great folks.
He was at the birthday party.
He was.
Came over.
He had come by and stopped by and said hi. Met our neighbors for 30 years. And he did not survive. This thing hit at 1:30 in the morning.
And his house, 40 yards from yours?
Yeah.
30, 40 yards?
30, right.
Helen, when did you find out?
I was in this nursing home, and our lights had gone out. And one of the little nurses came in, and I asked her, I said, "What's happening?" She says, "Oh, there's a fire in Napa." Which
is 30 miles away.
And our lights went out? Okay.
And so I didn't go back to sleep, but all of a sudden I opened my eyes, and my number 2 son was standing there, very ashen, and I couldn't believe that he and my grandson were there. And he says, "We have some bad news." And I said, "Did my house burn down?" Couldn't figure that one out. and then
that was your response.
And he said, yes, everything's gone. And then it dawned on me, where's Mark? And so I asked, and he said, well, he was with a friend in Santa Rosa. But I lost everything. I had 3 nightgowns and 2 pair of slippers and a toothbrush and a comb.
Hold, there's a commonality here about toothbrushes. What's this toothbrush thing?
We all have great teeth.
And you lost how many egg cups? Because I know you collected egg cups.
I had a 625 count of beautiful egg cups.
Is this where, Helen, you put life in perspective and you say, it's not about the stuff?
Absolutely.
I'm just grateful to God that my kids and my grandson
Absolutely. I said I will not grieve for a single thing because my most valuable possessions were there with me.
24 people died in the Tubbs fire.
Yes.
Over 5,000 pieces of property.
Now, people are going to ask this. Who do you blame? Who do you feel like you could take to court? It's their fault. Do you feel any of that? Is there you feel like there needs to be retribution in some way, shape, or form? Or are you just, you know what? Things happen in life.
I don't feel that way. In fact, there's a little bit of, survivor's guilt. I mean...
So you feel guilty that you made it out and others didn't? Is there a sense of that?
Well, yeah. Because I was up. I mean, 1 o'clock in the morning is not late for some of us. But what do you do when something hits at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning? Most people are in bed.
Well, Mark asked the question, and I don't know the answer to this. If your cell phone's off, does an emergency alert come on? Does it turn the phone on?
I did make this comment. I'm from Mesa, and we've got, it's almost obnoxious. My cell phone lights off once a week with an Amber Alert.
Even if it's off?
Oh, off. No, it has to, well...
So if the phone's on?
Yeah, or I'm able to... I'm not using the computer aspects of it, but it's the cell phone aspects of it working. I was somewhat surprised. I said, well, shouldn't we have gotten an Amber Alert or something like this?
And how many people don't have landlines any longer?
Well, I know I don't. So I was looking. I was thinking something would come up on my cell phone. Maybe.
But people are quick to say it was Pacific Gas and Electric. They should have done something. The power line should have been buried. How come this?
Yeah, I don't. I've never heard have they able to track it down to see how the Tubbs fire started?
Question for you.
Because there were fires all over the place, not just 1 or 2.
There are people out there who are a little more on the conspiratorial side. Has that ever crossed your mind?
No, I did hear that, and I don't buy that. It was either wind. It was the wind. The wind was out of the ordinary. And once the fire starts, these winds can really go. How the fire started, I don't know.
It's interesting the things they're requiring them to do now.
Oh man, they're really loading up some requirements on rebuilding.
So this doesn't happen again, hopefully. I mean, the water tanks, the sprinkler systems that they're requiring.
Yeah, I don't know. Sprinkler system, that would not have stopped this fire.
This is what we found fascinating when we were there talking to Alan, actually on location, right next to where the house used to be, that the fire's devastation is somewhat, it's surreal, but it's also kind of masqueraded by the fact that now everything is getting green again. And so where there was destruction, now there's life. God's way of just everything starts growing back again, and the trees are budding.
Yeah, you didn't see any black scorched land necessarily.
Right. But because things happen in cycles. I know that's just, they said this only happens once every 50 years. Well, it happened. But now the tenacity of people, the resiliency, they're back. They're saying, we're not going to allow this to stop us. We're going to, things are maybe going to be done a little bit differently this time, but that's home. They can take away the house, but the idea of this is our home, they can't take that away. No fire can take that away. And certainly the relationships with individuals in your community, in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I said it before. Home is where my mother is. We were in the Navy, so I've had lots of houses. But the love of parents, that's what I remember about the place.
in so many ways, this is a story of hope. People who may be listening to this program and struggling to recover. Here's a family who they lost everything. And there were thousands of other families. I'm sure did you hear stories of other friends from Santa Rosa growing up? I met a number of people after the fires that they either themselves or friends that lost their homes.
How do you start over? You're right. It gives people hope that sometimes when you look at tragedies of this type, it brings out, as hard as it is to get your arms around this, it brings out the best in people. Tragedy turns into triumph. People are resilient. They have, as I said, that tenacity to keep going forward in spite of what's going on. Look, we know, we read about, we hear about people turning their lives around. This is that opportunity for people to do that and to really make great strides and great inroads just personally.
Yeah. It's not too late. It's not too late. When we come back, we're going to take our final segment with Alan, go back to Santa Rosa and the site of the home and talk to him. Final few comments about making it through the fire, the Santa Rosa wildfires back in October of 2017. Right here on Making It.
You're listening to Making It Through the Fire. We'll be back with our final segment right after this message from More Financial Strategies.
The reports are in, the studies have been done, the white papers have been written. Folks, the happiest people in retirement are those who receive what we call guaranteed paychecks for life. You know those people, they always have a smile on their face. Why? Because they know that they're getting perhaps that pension check every month. They are getting that Social Security check. Our clients are also receiving from insurance companies guaranteed paychecks for life. We call them lifetime income annuities. Those people, rest assured, each and every night, they have that added sleep insurance, knowing full well that each and every month they are receiving money that they can never outlive. Give us a call, 296-4464, 296-4464. Join us on the web at morefs.com. Join that group of what we call the happiest people in retirement by looking at what we can do to serve you when it comes to guaranteed lifetime income.
Welcome back to our final segment of Making It, and today's program, Making It Through the Fire. We're going to go back to Santa Rosa now and speak again with Alan Robbins. On location, at the site of the house that's burned down. It's been graded now, just so you have it in your mind's eye. It was interesting how fast FEMA came in and cleared a lot of the homes relatively in short order.
And now they are required to have sprinkler systems in the homes if they rebuild. They have to have an outside well, depending upon where they live. So, again, some things that we learn. When you hear of a tragedy, devastation, there are always changes that are made. So there is some good that's coming out of all this.
When you listen to his story, what'd you learn from it?
You have to be prepared. Don't second guess yourself. We're not immune from things like this happening. And at that point, are you really thinking about your 401k plan? Although, yes, some people are. They're investments. But they're also processing, look, my life is important. You've heard the stories, Paul, where they say the grass is greener, the sky is bluer.
Yeah.
They have a much greater appreciation for the things in life that are important. Relationships, family. Money is kind of down there on the lower end of the list. It's about, boy, my life is I'm not guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah, and certainly that's what Helen recognized.
Yes.
Yeah. Making it through the fire. Here's our final segment.
Did you get everything out of the house that you felt you needed to get out at the time? Or in looking back, were there things that you said, man, had I known this, I would have prepared things a little bit differently. I would have grabbed this. I would have done this. Anything come to mind?
How about that payphone?
Yeah, the payphone I would have grabbed.
A payphone?
I had a payphone that I used to use as a safe, and it hung on the wall. It was actually a legitimate payphone from AT&T that we
Stole?
disposed. I wish I had a good story like that, but we retired it from the company I worked for, and they sat in the back office. So I grabbed a couple phones and I put them on the wall, and they had all the keys, so they're pretty secure, and I secured them on the wall. I used that as my little safe. So I had probably $4,000 in gold and silver in it, and a little tiny gun tucked in there. And so I remember after the fire was over, the first thing I wanted to do on the next day
Where's the payphone?
and find the phone, right?
And did you?
And we actually came in while Willie's Wine Bar and roads were still on fire. We're jumping over power lines. We wanted to get and see if the house. We
Get
didn't know if the
that
house,
payphone.
We didn't know if the house was intact or not. And we came up here. Of course, it was all burned down. But we're looking around. There was the payphone on its side, still a little warm. We picked it up, and I literally didn't open it up for probably a month because I couldn't get into it. I'd lost the keys to it. They'd all burned up and everything. So it sat in the house for about a month, and I finally, with a hacksaw and some tools, got into it and found a molten mass of silver and gold in the bottom, and like the barrel of a little gun, all the other.
So when you
And it's still, I still don't know what to do with it. It's up in the closet right
Jewelry.
now.
Melted into jewelry.
So when you pulled back and you then realized the house had been destroyed, has it put things in perspective? What's important and what's not important? Because a lot of the people listening to the show, they're saying, hey, in the world of money and finances and so forth, hey, my 401k plan, hey, you weren't thinking about that when you were getting out of the house. You were thinking, I got to save my life.
Right.
So what is this? What is
The
this?
401k is still important to me. And the market dropped 500 points today. Just saying.
However, in perspective, you know how people go through a near-death experience? They go, the sky is bluer, the air is fresher, the colors are more vibrant, because that's what's really important. It's not the stuff.
It's interesting to be here a number of months later in the
Right.
springtime and see everything green.
Yeah. It's completely green now. And you know, with the neighbors, there's a sense of renewal. Jack here I think he's pretty excited about rebuilding. You know, I'm kind of excited to see what's going on my property here too. And,
We're resilient.
We are. You know, it hits other people harder than others. I've seen the wailing people in the ashes, you know, crying over everything they lost. And we lost pictures and memories, but you know, like we know those are just tangible things. You still have your memories. My mom will always love this place. She wants to come back, and I'm planning maybe we can do her 92nd birthday out here.
And what would be your advice for people who perhaps live up in a wooded area? What would your advice be for them from a planning perspective? Like, make sure you have a fireproof safe. Make sure that if ever this is going to happen, you know exactly what to grab, and you're out, because your life at that point is the most valuable. Any thoughts on that?
I would say don't be as complacent as I was in thinking it can't happen, because it actually can happen. And don't be the last guy out, like I think I might have been. And think about your neighbors. You know, just because I'm a tough guy and wanted to wait till the last second, I'll get the garden hose out and fight the fire. Maybe your neighbors don't want to do that. So think about them. I mean, there's new laws and regulations now you can see all these water tanks going in, that it's required now that you have sprinkler systems in your house.
So there's some good that's come out of it.
There's things like that'll try and mitigate this, but this is country living. Stuff happens. I wished I'd cut down some of the trees around here.
Are these going to be cut down? There's what are we looking at? 50 trees here that are all dead and burned.
Insurance paid pretty well for the tree.
Your trees have been removed.
A bunch of them, but still a lot remain. One thing that shocks me in this whole thing, my car is incinerated. It's melting aluminum engine blocks, and the tree won't burn down. Why aren't these trees burned down?
They should make the cars out of the trees.
I mean, why are these trees standing if the car's burned up? I don't get it. So
the community has really pulled together over this whole thing.
Yeah, I've been more of a witness to it than a participant. Coffee Park, I think, really pulled together. They've got websites and fundraisers and a lot of resources going on with them. The neighbors, we got a group chat. I've gotten closer with the neighbors. We got like an 8-person group chat going.
So the analogy of the what is it? The phoenix rising out of the ashes.
Yeah.
I think that there has been some good that has come out of this, whether it's new laws or regulations, but also, as you said, I thought about this as well. Many of us don't know our neighbors.
Absolutely.
We have not befriended them. This is what draws everybody together. You hate to say that a fire would do that, but boy, certainly it's a defining moment in your life and in your son's life and in your brother's life and in your mom's life. But we power forward. We make it. We decide we're going to make it regardless of what happened to us.
Exactly right. I think tragedy in general does that. You look at 9/11, other events like that. We pull together. It's a great country. Individuals are fantastic. I think group politics or identity politics separates us. But I love the fact that people come together. I don't know their politics down there, but I know that we care about each other, and they're good people, and they try and help. Human spirit. I mean, the neighbor here was, when they left, they hooked up their horse to the back of they had a horse carriage, right? But they didn't have time in the dark to hook it up. So they had the chain on it, right? They're dragging the horse. They saved the horse. The chickens died, but they dragged the horse with the attached horse trailer by a chain down the road here and got it down to the parking lot. So they
save the horse.
They saved the horse. Ken was helping out, trying to come back and save the neighbors. I mean,
life.
We isolate in our own little worlds, and I'm not that social, but we sort of isolate a little bit, but we do care about each other, and stuff like this pulls us together. These are some great people around here,
Making it through the fire, right?
There you go. Surviving it, yeah.
Paul, life is unpredictable. It's tentative.
Absolutely.
It's fragile, as we just heard from the Robins.
Yeah.
The question is, are you prepared? And when we look at what we do at More Financial Strategies, are you prepared? Should you pass away? Is your family going to be okay? What if you live too long? What if you end up in a nursing facility? What if you have the unexpected happen, as a fire that devastated Northern California? So part of our responsibility, and we take this to heart, is making sure you have plans in place so that we know we've done our job, you've done your job. It's all about communication, and that's why give us a call, 296-4464. We are here to serve you. This is your agenda. Let us help you craft that plan.
Join us next time on Making It. We did Making It Through the Fire. Next time we'll surprise you. Another great story about making it.
You've been listening to Making It with Mark and Paul Kinney, brought to you by More Financial Strategies. The information covered today is designed to provide general information on the subjects covered. It is not, however, intended to provide specific legal or tax advice. It can't be used to avoid tax penalties or to promote, market, or recommend any tax plan or arrangement. You're encouraged to consult your tax attorney or advisor. By contacting us, you may be provided information regarding the purchases of insurance products, including annuities. Guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurer. Riders may be available for additional cost. Product and features may vary from state to state. For full details on how life insurance works, including fees, expenses, and costs, contact our office at 296-4464. Mark Kinney is a financial professional licensed in the state of Arizona.